And with a nice, well, a half-full glass of white wine in his hand, Tommy Robb. Tommy, welcome back to the Isle of Man.
Thank you very much, Charlie. I've just arrived today and done a lap there, and got frightened to death by watching some of these fellas on road bikes, the things they do, you know. Out on the roads doing wheelies, I'm not sure that I quite agree with it, you know.
It's quite funny, isn't it? I've just arrived today and done a lap. I mean, how many people say that, I've done a lap? I mean, you've got to do the lap, haven't you?
Well, you've still got to find if they've made any more motorways anywhere that you haven't been on before, because one year I came here early in the morning around about 5 o'clock and arrived at the Quarry Bends, and I thought I was on the M6. It had changed so much, you know, but there's no changes this year. It all looks the same.
Well, I'll take your word for that, because I've not done a lap. I've not done a lap for about 2 or 3 years, you know, really. Well, apart from on the racing bike. But I've been as far as Glen Helen the last couple of, well, not last year, the year before, but I've not done a complete lap. But I do rely on the other riders as well. They tell me what's going on, so I know what to expect when I go out on Monday evening.
Plus the fact you go out on automatic pilot anyway, don't you, when you've ridden as many times as you have. What was your first year in the Isle of Man?
1970 for the Manx Grand Prix, 71 for a TT.
So I'm going to do the interview now, you see.
Okay, you might as well hold the microphone. Shall I hold your wine?
No, I was just wondering. Yes, I should remember that actually, didn't I? We had a bit of a tussle together in practice. 1958 was my first year here, which is going back a little bit, and I never really thought that once I retired I'd ever be back at the place. I've been back every year since doing the parade laps, which are terrific. I mean, the number of people that come to watch the parade laps, we've got to get the ACU to keep those going.
But when you actually stopped racing here, which is 73, I think your last TT, if I'm not mistaken, when you won the 125, you didn't stop there because you came back and worked on the commentary team, a little bit like I do now, really. Well,
it was rather funny, actually, because I started to do the commentary at Ballacrane with Peter, of course, handing over to me. But then Bill Smith kindly stuck an entry in 1979. Oh. I didn't know about it, but he said, I've entered you in the TT in 2 classes. And I said, I'm not riding, I retired in 73. No, he said, I fixed you up with bikes with Appleby Glade and I fixed you up with Terry Shepherd. And he said, you're in. And when I picked up Motorcycle News the following week, there it was in headlines, Tommy Robb makes a comeback and I am in to win. I didn't say those words, Charlie, believe you me.
That sounds very much like Smithy, that.
And the result is that I did ride that year, but I think Peter sort of fell out with me a little bit because I hadn't told him and I didn't know I was riding. So I think Fred Clark then took over Ballacrane at that time, and I hadn't been back in the commentary box since, you know.
So you did it for about 6 years, 5 or 6 years?
It must have been about that, yes. And every time I think about commentaries and think of Peter Neal, I feel very sad now that Peter's no longer with us, of course.
Yeah, well, we've obviously been mentioning Peter quite a lot, and he'll be mentioned an awful lot more, not throughout just this TT, but for obviously TTs to come, I think. I think that the most poignant time will be tomorrow when they start the racing, the start of the Formula 1 race.
Yeah, I think not to hear Peter's voice over the airways is going to be something that's totally out of keeping as far as the TT is concerned, because you always thought when you picked up when you put a CD in or a record or one of the old tapes, it was always Peter's voice was on it. And he and the TT went together hand in glove. Yeah.
Now you're supposed to be riding in the parade lap on Monday evening on one of Luke's bikes. Will you be riding, Tom?
Yeah, that's what I'm over for, to ride Luke's 254, and that'll bring back a lot of memories too. That will, because the 254 is always a beautiful little bike to ride, especially around the Isle of Man. And of course, Luke has done such a good job in getting the presentation right for all these and presenting them before the races, during the races, after the races, and I think we've got to hand it to him for making the effort.
Now, when you go out on that lap on Monday, incidentally, I've had a chat with Luke, and
I'll keep to the left, Charlie. I'll keep well to the left. Don't worry.
No, it's Reedy who wants to keep to the left. No, are there any particular parts on the course, Tom, that you get a bit excited? We're coming towards such and such a place now. This is one of my favourite places.
No, it works the opposite with me. I unfortunately have lost quite a few friends over the years, as you can imagine, since 55 to now is 47 years ago, and in that 47 years I've lost quite a few friends, and unfortunately I've been in a situation that it has happened during a race that I've been in, and I've seen their bike lying at the side of the road, or the rider, and then later when you find out that they're no longer with us, those flash into my memory more than the parts that I really do enjoy. And I must admit that Most places I do enjoy it. Why I've never fallen off in Parliament Square, I'll never know, because you always feel you're going through Parliament Square much too slow, even though it is a bottom gear corner. But no, I always loved the TT. I still love the TT, everything about it. But there's some sad aspects to it as well, and they come back to memory.
Well, that's inevitable, I suppose, but let's hope when you do go out there on Monday that you can mix those with all the fonder memories of the TT, because I'm sure you've got very many of those.
Oh, we'll definitely do that, Charlie, but I'll still keep well to the left when you're coming through anyway.
All right, Tommy Robb, it's always a pleasure to speak to you, Tommy. Peter Fordeman's here. Peter, I noticed a few scuffs on your leathers just on the left-hand side. Can you tell us a bit about that, please?
Thank you very much. Well, I do a bit of racing myself back home in Germany, just on the 400s. So I went to Albacete this February, and I came off there once, and I came off in Oschersleben once, and I think that's about it. No, once in Lausitzring in the pouring rain. So, you know, it's just nothing serious, but...
So is this like every time you race you fall off? It sounds to me as though that's about the ratio.
No. It's, I came off 3 times in 3 years, so that's a pretty good ratio to me. I mean, every time you fall, you go, oh, mistake. Mostly it's your own mistake. And you go, you know, I should have avoided it. But
now, you, for the last couple of 3 years, have had this, been resplendent in the Spike KC1 suit. I know my KC, it is a KC1 suit,
yeah.
Isn't it? I thought it was, yeah. Yellow, sort of black and gunmetal and white and stuff like that. A little bit grubby around the edges now, but it's not doing badly. Now, prior to that, you had the most awful suit I've ever seen. It had been canary yellow, hadn't it? And it had a red maple leaf on the back, as I remember. What have you done with that one?
Oh, I still own it. Yeah, I think it was a bit of, you know, everybody knew me for that. At least the people that knew me. Oh, right, crazy German with a yellow suit. No, I still have it. It's in the cellar room. I never use it again because people just say, no, it's not the kind of yellow it used to be. Don't wear it. You look too stupid in it.
Well, you could always cut it up and put it on the lounge floor or something like that, I suppose, couldn't you?
Yeah, but I know. I just dumped it in. I just dumped it in the cellar, so that's fine.
Well, if I might say so, the best blinking place for it. Peter, we're going to take a break, I believe.
Well, one second. How has the TT changed since television arrived on the scene as far as you're concerned, Greenlight television?
Oh, since we arrived, well, it's got much better, hasn't it? Obviously. Colder and wetter. But obviously it's being seen around the world in something like 500 million homes now, and I think that's probably the highest it's ever been. It's been at that sort of level for the last couple of years, minus the one, of course. So it's much more of a television spectacle now, I think, than a spectator spectacle.
What interest is there?
It's one of the last great personal challenges of any kind that you can watch on television. You can't really watch mountaineering in the same way as you can watch the TT. And this is on the same scale. This is one man against his demons.
So you have the contract with the Isle of Man government?
With the Isle of Man government.
What does that actually mean then?
It means we have to behave ourselves, Paul, and answer silly questions when they're asked.
Who pays who?
We pay the government now. We pay them a rights fee, and it's profit related. So the better we do, the better the government does, and the better the TT does, obviously.
Is it important for Greenlight, the TT?
Of course it's important. It's on our doorstep, and it'd be hateful if anybody else was doing it. But it's a world-class sporting event. I mean, there aren't many like this. It's like Epsom, it's the Cup final, it's Twickenham when we beat the All Blacks. It's that kind of thing. So yes, it's a huge, very important sports event.
I mean, how do you go about covering it though? It's not a television-friendly event, is it?
It's not. It's a very television-unfriendly event. So what we have to do is draw on years of experience, put cameramen where we know. The most important thing is being able to reach them between races, get the tapes back and make a programme that can be seen on television this evening.
The helicopter, is that one of yours?
No, that's the medical helicopter going to take the station up north of the island. Ours is up somewhere. We've got a couple of onboards. We've had some fabulous footage this year from David Jeffries, his fastest lap in practice from Thursday afternoon at 121, whatever it was. So yes, we're very busy with helicopters.
Is it costly to cover a TT?
Yes, very. Simply because of the nature. It's a 14-day event, so you need people for 14 days. I mean, normally for the Monaco Grand Prix, it's over in 3 days. This goes on for 2 weeks, so it costs a lot of money. Yes.
Men and Motors are involved this year.
Men and Motors are involved this year in the appealing and particularly interesting shape of Louise Brady. But yes, they're covering it in big. First British-based broadcaster to do so for a long time. Very nice.
What about Sky thing? Sky used to come here and do a bit.
Sky never came here at all. What happened was that Sky would show the TT if we gave them pictures. That is as far as their involvement ever went. They've never paid, they've never contributed, they've never got involved, they've never taken part in the way that Men and Motors has really thrown themselves into it.
In a few years' time, you've got a live satellite feed. Tell us about that.
This is just a news feed to Northern Ireland. The BBC have supported the TT for years. Obviously, there's a lot of Irish riders here. So this is the last night of practice, and they're going to do a piece into their sports news back home. So it'll only be a minute and a half. But it's a kind of involvement that we would like to see from Grenada or somebody in the UK, but just isn't there.
What about the Joe Dunlop effect? Has that diminished interest back in the
Of course not. I think you could. Joey was Joey, and the TT is the TT. So we miss Joey, but we're not going to stop TT racing.
So as the week goes on, are you anything exciting, different you're going to be able to bring?
We're saving up to buy you a tripod for your camera, so it doesn't flop about like that. When
do you bring anything new to the party each year?
There's a limit. What we've tried to do over a period of time is actually bring less to the party, and I know that sounds stupid, but what we've tried to do is to put cameras in the same places so that people get an idea of the lap. It's 37 miles, and they know all the names, but they don't recognise the places. So we try and show them the start line, Quarterbridge, Ballacrane, Glen Helen, somewhere around there, and landmark things that they will immediately be able to place geographically and know how the lap's going. So we're actually trying to do less with it rather than more.
Do you think it'd be a day when you actually have onboard pictures live?
We've done that. We did that the first year in 1995. We had live pictures from 2 bikes and a sidecar, but they only came back as far as the grandstand. And of course it's a challenge because the helicopter can't actually keep up with the bikes. No helicopter can keep up with them. When they're doing 200 miles an hour along Solway Straight, a twin spiral is left behind, so it's a big problem.
Good. Anyway, thank you very much for talking to us. And
here's 5p for a tripod, look. Fucking down, I bought this coat and I left home. Mrs. Nichols said, "Oh, what do you take your coat for?" And I said, "Because it's the other man."
now, what a cock-up you're doing down here, Nichols?
Cock.
What are you doing with a cock-up now?
Is this
Yeah, but Brad Craggle was. Yeah, I think we'll be alright. Hey, yeah, you going off the land? Oh, where's John? Up in the pavement to make let me practice. Yeah. John's got it, so let's practice out. We're okay in the first place. Yeah, so we're going to get to that. John's definitely got it. John's definitely got it. You going off the land?
So he said in 10 minutes you walk off the toilet, get the gate, first to go out. So he said you've got good time.
Jeffries, as in a doppelganger.
Yeah, it took me in. I thought it was.
So I think it's Nick Jeffries has gone out on the Formula 1 bike in the blue and white leathers, and you can just see from the back what's a number 7 looked like a number 1. So there we see Jeffries, see one there. Oh, that's Dave Jeffries. But he's got out on the production 1000, but he even took Tom Dickey in. Tom's going, what's going on there? I'm live on air. He's going, what's going on there? Just come straight up. What's going on there? That's Dave Jeffries.
I've done exactly the same this time.
So
he's gone out.
I can only assume Nick Jeffries has gone out on the Formula 1 bike.
And everybody on the toilet, all the way to the back. Yeah. He's after. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, but the train, you don't get this, and then let everybody have some. Yeah. I'll see you later. Okay. Bye for now.
We came by here on the bikes and we saw them all around in there and all the bikes. Yeah, I mean, it's all over.
Anywhere. I'm glad I wasn't waiting for later to get back. I had gotten home just a couple minutes before he did, and I was just there sorting my laundry, and he comes running up the stairs, and I'm like,
Camera, come on, Jeff.
Get a big wide lens, Jeff.
oh, you need to with this. I don't see if I was on it. You ready? Well, Ken, you've been coming to here now for more years than you care to remember. What do you remember of your first trip to the Isle of Man TT?
The first trip to the Isle of Man TT. It was wet, and we got up as far as Kate's Cottage, behind the wall, which is now out of bounds. And the first bikes that were coming down frightened the life out of us, and we ducked down behind the wall. But
What year would that be?
1949.
Right.
Came over on the old Viking, the twin funnel one, and was coming into Douglas. The people on the ferry got to the side, and she came in on a side.
Yeah. So you're a Cage Scottish, and that 1949 was when Les Graham retired in the senior. Oh, he didn't retire. He lost the lead, didn't he? At Crump on the last lap.
Yes, I was down up at Windy Corner when Les Graham got killed at the bottom of Bray. I've made a lot of friends all over the world in 50 years, Jeff, and lost one or two. My worst one was young Norman Brown.
Yeah.
I cried myself to sleep that night when Norman was killed at Silverstone. And the following year, the following Christmas, there was a knock at my door, and who should it be was Norman Brown. Norman Brown's dad. Come all the way from Ireland to see me.
Yeah.
That's what makes marshalling well worthwhile.
But it's cost you a lot of money to come here for years, but it's been worth it because you've been in one of the scene, really, one of the lads.
If I ever came back, I'd do it again.
Good for you.
I would.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you're not feeling so well now, then?
No. I've had a nasty dose of bowel cancer. They've taken half of it away. I've taken my gallbladder out. But I keep going. I've got shingles at the moment, and they are terrible.
Well, you've still got a smile on your face. You still must enjoy the TT.
You've got to keep going.
Aye. Okay, nice to talk to you.
Yes. The great pal of mine is Pierre Francisco Keeley.
Oh, aye.
And another of the 125s is Yuichi Wee.
Yeah.
I've done 19 Grand Prix and World Superbikes. But God bless you, because you won't be staying a great while now. Your age keeps on, and it's one thing that you can't stop. You keep growing old.
I hope it'll be a few years. Anyway, don't write me off yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Jack Valentine, you come here year after year spending thousands. What do you get out of the TT? Do you still enjoy it on a personal basis, or is it in support of a business?
It's a little bit of both, Jeff, really. I mean, it does cost thousands to come here. You know, we're focused on it this year even more than ever because we haven't got the budget to do the short circuits. You know, I mean, we're one of the teams, of the few teams who do both, you know, and do both successfully. But you know, it goes back many years. You know, when we started the business, before we started the business, we were coming watching the TT. You know, riding our own road bikes around here, and I think, you know, you just have it in you, don't you? It's one of those places.
But it's a tough fortnight doing what you and the lads do.
Oh yeah, I mean, the lads have been tremendous. You know, they've been working so hard, you know, so many late nights prior to the TT as well. I mean, we've been working till like, you know, 2, 3, 4 in the morning in the workshops. In between the northwest and the TT, it's only a matter of days before we have to set off again. It's real tough, but I mean, you only get out of it what you put in.
So you've got Jim Moody on the books this time, and Ian Duff is two good men there.
Yeah, two great guys. I mean, we go back a long way with both of those. I mean, Jim won his first TT, I think, back in 93, if I remember rightly, on B&M bikes, B&M prepared bikes. Ian won the junior in 65 for me, and they both rode successfully for me on short circuits, so I've no problem with those guys. I'm sure they'll do the job.
Were you disappointed when David Jeffries defected?
Yeah, very, very disappointed. I mean, you know, the relationship we had with him over the years and the success he's had on our machines, you know, just to defect at such a late stage in the game, you know, for sure I was on a downer, but to get Jim on board, and then all of a sudden it's made possible we could run Ian as well. So I'm more than happy now, Jeff.
Okay, but Jim had his problems as well a couple of years ago with Honda, didn't he?
He did, yeah. I mean, I don't know what really went on there, but I mean, it's certainly not happening with us. I mean, he's happy. He went on to win the British Championship with us that year. He's had 2 successful races in the National Series this year on our bikes as a build-up. and you know, he's happy in the team. That's the main thing.
Very few people can change horses midstream to switch from Hondas after that dispute, and for you to pick him up and still win the championship was quite something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was real good that. I mean, Jim rode the bike. I mean, initially, he just said, well, let me have a ride on the bike. And within 10 laps of riding it at Snetterton, he'd smashed the lap record, so he just went on from there.
So what about this week then? It's going to be tight, isn't it? It's one of the most open senior and Formula Ones for a long time.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, I mean, weather permitting, I think it's going to be one of the most exciting TTs we've seen for years.
Think you can do it?
We've got as good a chance as anybody, and it's not, you know, I mean, the work we're putting, I mean, I'll be disappointed if we don't get a result.
Okay, we'll see tomorrow. The weather prospects are good, so good racing prospect.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks for your time.
No problem.
Okay, thanks.